Welcome to SSU TV. My name is Abraham Deweese. With us is baseball editor Matthew Page. How you doing, Matthew?
Pretty good.
I'm Matthew, like I ever call you Matthew.
Nobody does.
I noticed you're wearing your Tacoma Rainiers hat today.
Yeah, they're the only good Mariners team at this point.
Well, I have the Las Vegas 51s today, so we're going AAA theme.
All right.
And speaking of AAA, we have a team in Seattle that plays like a AAA team.
I don't know. Maybe the Tacoma Rainiers can give them a run for the money. It's quite possible.
So, where are the Mariners in the standings? Fourth place in the American League West?
Yes, they are, 3 games up above the Athletics right now.
Do you know approximately how far back they are from the wild card chase? I assume the division is still out of reach?
Division, I think we're about 8.5 games back right now.
Not completely undoable.
It's not insurmountable, but it would take something special.
It would seem to me that the wild card's the better way to go.
The wild card is more feasible at this point, yes.
Okay, all right. So do they still have a chance?
No.
Everybody, good night.
No, to be honest, I don't see a chance. With the current squad as it is, and with management making some serious questionable moves, I don't think so.
Are we sellers at this point?
I think we're coming to the point here very soon where we're going to have to make that decision, and I think it might at least be worthwhile for management to sit down and think about doing that.
Well, for sellers, don't they have to decide what they're going to do with Jack Zarenzik first?
I'd fire him, personally. Sorry to say that abruptly, but the honest truth is we're on year 7 of his 3-year plan, and it's not working.
Well, I don't think Jack is listening, but if he is, you're fired.
Yes.
If it was up to us, bye.
Well,
okay, so
but Howard Lincoln would be hired before you, so take some solace in that fact.
I don't think he's listening, but
no.
I would like to fire Howard Lincoln if possible. But you can't fire owners. Okay, so would you also get rid of the manager, Lloyd McClendon? Just a clean sweep.
The honest truth is that it might be better to do a clean sweep, but the fact of the matter is that Lloyd was dealt a very poor hand. He was built a very inflexible roster, and he's trying to do the best with what he's given.
You wouldn't be against giving him another year?
I wouldn't be against giving him another year, no.
All right, okay. So this week the Mariners played the Cleveland Indians and the Houston Astros. They went, 2-1 against the...
Against the Indians, yes, they went 2-1. They won a pretty close game. Then they blew away the Indians, and then they got blown away themselves.
So we saw everything out of the Mariners in that series. Did I see Nelson Cruz got pulled?
He tweaked his back a little bit.
How serious is it?
It's not serious at all. He's already back in the lineup.
Oh my goodness! Because you're looking at a team with the lowest on-base percentage in the American League.
Yeah,
and Nelson Cruz, you take him off the team, he's the only one getting on base. It's
yeah. But that was a scary moment, definitely, for the Mariners.
Houston series didn't go so well, did it?
Mariners won one of the games. We got outscored. I think it was 20-0. The rest of the series, we got shut out twice. And Felix, unfortunately, experienced probably the worst start he's ever had in his entire life.
Now, Felix has had 2 bad starts in the last month. Mm-hmm. Is there an injury? Do you think there's an injury or something going on in his head? What is it?
I think there might be psychological frustration at how bad this team is doing,
Yeah, he's been such a trooper. I love Felix Hernandez, but he can yell at the team. I would allow him.
Absolutely.
If anybody was allowed to tell everybody on the Mariners that they're terrible, Felix has that because he is the franchise.
He really is. He's the cornerstone of this franchise. He is the king. Literally, he is. Yeah. He's a god in Seattle, and he runs this team. He's the leader, and they're not getting it done, and it's not on him. Barring these last 2 starts, 2 starts in a month, he's been pitching like Cy Young.
No, we have a couple of the pitchers that are doing quite well. We saw them in the Cleveland series. Can you tell us a little about the Roenis Elias and Roenis? Wow, now I'm doing it. Roenis Elias and Taiwan Walker redemption stories.
They're both doing quite well. Elias was left off the roster to start the season, but he's very quickly proving barring a start that happened today, that he deserved to be on that roster all year, and he did very well against Cleveland. 6 innings, 1 earned run, very solid outing. And Taiwan Walker, he's shaking the dust off, he's shaking the rust off, he's doing whatever it needs to be done, but he's definitely finally starting to put it together, finding that control.
Read one of your articles that stated that Fernando Rodney got some action.
Fernando Rodney is getting a little more low pressure exposure. They're giving him a chance to kind of breathe,
Yep.
No pressure, go out there when we're down 6 runs or whatever, and just concentrate on throwing, hitting your marks, they can't send him down to the minors with his contract, but they can definitely put him into a lower stress role and give him a chance to kind of.
So offensively in the Cleveland series, we saw Cano and Morrison get off the snide a little bit. They're heating up, maybe?
I don't know. Cano has quietly started to hit a little better. Lomo, I think, is hitting his ceiling already.
Okay. Well, I mean, if his ceiling is what we saw in the Cleveland series, I'm okay with that. He's got his batting average up to 255, and I'm the biggest. I criticize Morrison more than anybody, but I'm willing to take adequate. That's where this team is at. I'm willing to take adequate. And he seems to be batting adequately, at least in the Cleveland series.
You still have to take into account, as far as the league is concerned, he is below average for a first baseman.
He is definitely below average, yeah. But, I mean, there's really nothing. What are you going to do, put Trumbo at first base?
Would I bring up Jesus Montero?
I think I could do with that. But, I mean...
worst case, he does well, we trade him.
It's not like he's a great defensive first baseman, is the problem, man. The problem is we have, 4 DHs? We have Montero. We have Cruz. I mean, he plays in the right field, but let's face it, he's a DH. Trumbo.
Hurts the team when he's in right field.
Trumbo and Morrison. These are all poor-performing defenders.
Yeah.
And sluggers who don't get on base. Well, Cruz gets on base, but...
Yeah, well, not enough. I mean, he can't do it all.
So in the Houston series, Cruz came back.
And he actually did pretty well. He was contributing. Obviously, nobody did well in Game 1 or Game 3. We got shut out in both those games. But in Game 2, he got 2 RBIs, I believe.
Yeah, he did. It's so funny as I'm like, I expect more. Why didn't Cruz get us more than 2 RBI in one game? What's wrong with him?
That's perfectly fine, I mean,
I love these expectations. That's a good.
Even Mike Trout goes games without contributing. It happens.
But he's contributing, and that's good. He's back.
Yeah, he's back. He's back in the lineup, and he's obviously hitting. So we're okay on that point.
So you mentioned to me that Trumbo's barely being noticed. Can you expand on what does barely being noticed mean?
No one even really knows he's there. Let me put it this way, it's like he walks out from the dugout and the pitcher's like, "Oh yeah, you're on this team now. I forgot about that," and then they proceed to strike him out. It's no big deal. He was traded for the idea being he's another big slugger. It'll really help out and jazz up this offense and juice us up. And he has had little to no impact whatsoever.
Well, okay. Logan Morrison had a little bit of an impact, right?
Well, Logan Morrison was already in the lineup.
No, I mean he had 2 home runs in the Houston series.
Oh yeah, he did.
I mean that's
he did. He had 2 home runs in one game.
Yeah, and again, I'm not the biggest fan of this guy, but I mean, there's maybe a little steady progression. But he's probably going to get injured. But
I fully expect us to cut him in about another year, and then he'll land somewhere else and be awesome all of a sudden.
Why didn't they score? You mentioned you mentioned they weren't scoring in this series against Houston. What is the problem?
Well, Houston quietly has assembled an incredible rotation.
Okay.
They lost a lot of players to injury in terms of their starting rotation, but they brought up, over the past couple of weeks, they brought up McHugh and they brought up
Carlos...
I'm forgetting the name right
now. There's that rookie that's really super hot.
There's a couple of them that they brought up that have really shown that they've also got a great bullpen and they're just they just shut us down. I was actually reading a Twitter there was a comment on Twitter earlier this week that basically there's a minor league pitcher right now who's unnamed, but he got the scouting report when he faced the Mariners earlier in the season. The scouting report was basically, don't throw fastballs over the plate, throw junk. all junk.
And the free swinging Mariners.
And he went up and he won the game against the Mariners, and he's now back in the minors.
Well, the Mariners swing a junk then. Okay,
They are free swinging. They don't make contact often.
It's been my big problem with this team is I'm a big on-base percentage guy. Not a stats guy, but the one stat I do like is on-base percentage. I like guys like that draw walks. Yes, the guys like who was that Boston guy, the Greek god of walks?
Kevin Euclid.
Yes, I like those type of guys.
It's not sexy, but it works. You get on base and you can get home run. You get home. I mean, it's fundamental. It makes sense.
Okay, Houston has great pitchers, especially young pitchers. We just saw a little glimpse of somebody that the Mariners now have.
You're referring to Mike Montgomery?
Mike Montgomery.
Mike Montgomery is a journeyman who has bounced around.
I thought he was a rookie.
He is a rookie. I think he still qualifies as a rookie, but I believe he's 28. He's bounced around. I think he was originally with the Braves, and he bounced around at least one other organization, and then he wound up with us, and he's finally put it all together.
Now he's got competition from backup catcher Jose Sucre, though, right?
Oh.
Jesus Sucre.
Sweet Jesus, as some people are taking to calling him right now. He did awesome. He came in and he pitched because the bullpen was so devastated because Felix only pitched 1 out. Which he doesn't have a response. He doesn't have a reason. Media interviews with Felix he couldn't explain, but because the bullpen was so depleted, Jesus Sucre had to actually come in and pitch a scoreless ninth. He let up 1 hit, but
there's a new closer.
He got it done.
New closer right there.
I was impressed.
You know what though? Felix gave up 8 runs. I realize that's a record or something. I don't know what it is, but
I think it's more the 1 out.
Any other pitcher in the world, maybe Clayton Kershaw, Felix doesn't get pulled. You don't pull Felix Hernandez.
Yeah.
So he did set a record, but that's not a big deal how many runs he gave up because you just don't pull him. If some other scrub, you might do. But the elite pitchers, there's a reason why someone like, say, Nolan Ryan set the record for most losses. Because he also sets the record for a lot of wins. Too.
Yeah, he's up there on the innings pitched record as well. But Felix, I mean, they had to. Unfortunately, the only person he recorded as an out was the rookie Carlos Carrera, who had just been promoted that day.
So I saw there was a great Houston Astro player, Jesus Altuve. Jose Altuve. I'm getting my Jesus and
the best second baseman
and Jose Altuve.
Best second baseman in baseball.
He is in the lead for second baseman in the All-Star AL voting.
And he deserves it.
Did you see where 7 Kansas City Royals lead the voting? So there are 9 positions. I'm sorry, 6. There are 6 Kansas City Royals leading. I believe it's Nelson Cruz, Altuve of the Astros, and then everybody else is.
Then just the Kansas City Royals. Yes.
Good for them. Good for you, Kansas City. I can't fault them for that.
No.
You getting out there, you're stuffing the ballot boxes.
Oh yeah. We're fans. Definitely.
They went to the World Series last year.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you win. You get notoriety and you get some credit for what you do. Okay, the best thing happened to you this week, Matt.
I did a little happy dance. That's true.
Did a little happy dance?
I read it on my computer. I stood up. I did a little happy dance. Ricky Weeks was designated for assignment. Finally. Finally, when Reggiano was designated, it should have been Ricky Weeks.
He is horrible.
He's beyond awful, and he was redundant. We had people to cover the positions he could play, and the other upside of this on the flip side is Justin Reggiano wasn't claimed by him. Surprisingly, that surprises me a little bit that no other team out there claimed him. So that means he got assigned to AAA Tacoma, which means we can still bring him back up. He's still on our team.
Okay, but what we don't have is a spot for him, though.
Not at the moment.
Or do you put him up for Weeks?
No, actually what happened was Weeks got designated for assignment for Farquhar. Farquhar was up for 2 days, and he just got sent back down, and it just broke about an hour ago. James Jones is getting the call up.
Outfielder, center fielder from Tacoma.
From Tacoma, James Jones, the man who's the speedster on the base paths.
he looks really. I'm a big fan of this guy. He looked really good in a short little burst. He looked like he was brought up way too early.
He was
last year to the Mariners.
He was, but there's also some concerns. But a lot of people don't feel his bat is major league caliber. To be honest, his glove is passable in center. He's really more of a corner outfielder. His speed on the base paths is incredible. Very useful.
Where would we see him? Left field?
Probably left field. Yes.
Okay, so he's a center fielder in minors, but in the pros, he's more of a left fielder.
In a pinch, he can move into center. Okay. No big deal.
All right. Okay. So what would we see him as, like a speed guy off the bench?
Probably. Fill in occasionally on left field. I think the idea is still to try and rotate Trumbo and Ackley in left, but really I think they're figuring out that Trumbo should be a DH and not anywhere else.
What's your prediction? Are we going to see a DFA for Ackley?
That's a tough call. I would do it. I think he's had more than enough chances, and I think it's time, and he might benefit from being somewhere else because someone else will claim him. Or at the other hand, we might just tough it out until the trade deadline and trade him. I know the Yankees are very high on him, and maybe the Yankees will give us a piece in return.
The final thought of the day for you then, on that note, we're sellers then, or are we buyers?
The amount of buying it would take would be ludicrous, and what it would cost us would be ludicrous. At this point, I think what you have to do is you have to sell, but you have to sell reasonably. You can't. I'm not talking fire sale. I'm talking just whatever's available out there. Take a look and see if you can find some pieces that we can put together and help the offense moving forward. I also think it's going to depend on who's running the front office in come July, because we don't know.
You don't know what's going to be Jackie Z.
There's a big possibility he might be fired by then.
Okay. All right. Well, great, Matt. Thank you. You're our baseball editor for SSU. My name is Abraham DeWeese. Thank you for listening to us today. Jackie Z is so fired.
I hope so.
I wish I could fire.